It's often been said, it's not what happens to us, it's our perception of what happens to us that causes us the most discomfort and challenge. This is particularly interesting when we take a look at how we utilize words and how we describe, particularly the things that challenge us the most. Hi everyone, Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. You know, if you're like me, I used the last couple of weeks right at the end of the year to take a look at my past year. What went well, what were the big challenges and disappointments, and where I wanted to go in the upcoming year. And during that time, what I had the opportunity to do is meet with a lot of my friends and family and kind of review the year and talk about our victories and talk about our hardships. And what was most intriguing to me is that when we reviewed 2021, is many of us, even when we had tough times, we sat back and said, wow, that really helped me grow. Even though that was tough to go through in the time, I expanded as a result of that. I grew, or my business grew in ways that I wasn't even aware it was going to. And it made me think about how we have this opportunity to reframe things that happen to us, particularly when challenges are coming up, so that we can set ourselves up for success. And oftentimes it's as simple as how we label it with our words. So I want you to think about this concept today. If you have something going on in your life that's a challenge for you, are you calling it a problem or are you calling it a project? Are you calling it a problem or are you calling it a project? Now, I'm not here to discount that we go through challenging stuff. I definitely went through it myself in 21 and in subsequent years as well. But the fact of the matter is when we're in it, when we're able to reframe it, that gives us power. I mean, think about this. When you're dealing with a problem, what happens to what's going on inside of you? It can cause you to go into fear. It can cause you to withdraw. It can cause your creativity to shrink. Where you're kind of like circling the wagons, trying to protect yourself, and sometimes it can even cause us to freeze. But think about when you have a project. When you've got something you're excited about doing. Now, maybe it's not cleaning the basement, but that's a whole other topic. But think about when you've got a project that you're excited to do. What happens then? You're excited for it. Your creativity and your creative juices start to flow. You come up with ways to deal with it that maybe you hadn't before. You know, 2021, as I said, certainly had some challenges for us, as did 2020. And so we've been going through these two years in sequence, dealing with some things that are certainly tough. But let's take a look at how we can really reframe these in our mind and in our words. And I've got 4 ways that I want to share with you now. And so the first is, when you're dealing with challenges, is ask yourself, what's really happening? What's really happening? Now, what do I mean by that? Many times when we're in challenge, when we've got, difficulties in front of us, what happens is it's easy for us to get into story. Oh my gosh, this is happening to me. This is so difficult. He did this or she said that. And we get in a story. But focusing on what really happens allows us to do is step back and look at things objectively. Now, that doesn't mean if you're upset about something, you don't feel the upset. Or if you need to vent with someone, that you don't do the venting. But after that process is over, take an objective view and see what is really happening. Because now it gives you clear focus on what direction and how you can show, how you can lean into that as a project. Number 2 is, what wants to happen here? What wants to happen here? Well, I'll tell you what, if the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's that things don't always turn out the way that we want, right? In fact, one of my favorite sayings from 2020 is, we need to be stubborn in our goals, but flexible in our methods. Stubborn in our goals, but flexible in our methods. We have to be able to adapt. And what wants to happen here is says, okay, I'm going down this path, I've hit a roadblock, I continue to hit those roadblocks, I can keep going on my goal, but where do I need to redirect? Where do I need to do things differently? In my own life, I love speaking in front of live crowds, but man, in 2020 and a good part of 21, that just wasn't a possibility. So I got to get pretty adept in being able to communicate to people through a video screen. And so what it did is it brought forth a whole new other aspect of my business that I never had before, which was speaking and doing it virtually. So where do you have that opportunity, or where did you create that opportunity in the last couple of years? Number next is, sometimes we can get frozen and we just don't know where to start. But here's what I want you to do is when you're in that place and you're starting that project and maybe you don't have the owner's manual to do it, is just take the first step. Just take the first step. Because what happens is we begin to build momentum when we do that. One of my teachers told me years ago that God meets us at the point of action. Think about that for a moment, right? So even if you're not aware of what you're supposed to be doing long term, identify the first right move and take that. Identify that first right move. Get the momentum going so that you can start to build off of that. Because I can promise you when you do, you'll start to see other opportunities, which leads us to the fourth point, which is then take the next right move and then rinse and repeat. Because again, as we start moving, what will happen is, at least my experience, is the universe will start bringing opportunities to us that were never there before. But we wouldn't have been able to see them if we wouldn't have started the action ourselves. So there you have it, my friends. There are some ways to think about how we can reframe some challenges this year and take a look at moving from the idea of things being a problem into a project. So I hope this helped, everyone. Love to have you comment, like, and share these. And this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching. And I'm going to end it right here because I've got some projects to get into. We'll see you next time.